Okay, so I need somewhere to store all of my tools. I've recently built a 16x8 shed, but that's a workshop, so there's other tools in there. So all my usual tools like drills, table saw, and just general like tins of paint, things like that. I need somewhere to store them, so I've started to build a small tool shed. So let me give you a little tour so far. So what I've done is I've used a pallet. This one happened to have the slats quite close together, which was lucky, so I didn't really need to take them off and push more in, so it's all good. A nice strong pallet. I have reinforced it underneath with some 2x3s so it has extra support, and then I've put a layer of plastic underneath it to stop condensation coming through the floor and condensing on the roof, and to stop any condensation on my tools. So then I've used some 3x2 CLS timber and a few random bits to make the frame, and I've wrapped it in this it's got 3 layers to it. It's called Chromar Vent 3. This is what I also used on my workshop, and it has it's a breathable membrane, so it won't let any moisture in or wind, but it's breathable, so that should stop the shed suffering from condensation and damp. So then what I've gone on to do is I've used my table saw, you can see over there. I've just been doing it. I have made some beading just to frame in the wood that I'm going to be using to clad it, so I've just finished that. So I just cut it to various thicknesses. Here it's 2 centimeters, depending on which direction the wood's facing underneath, and then this is 4 centimeters, just to box it all in neatly, give it an edge, so that I'm going to use feather edge board, which is there. I don't want the feather edge getting damaged on the corners, and it looks a bit messy if you don't cap it off. So the roof is going to come later, and so I'm going to use the rest of this feather edge board. I've got loads left over, 4 inches thick. There's the wrap that I used, and that is about it for now. So the next update will be when the cladding is on. So I've had a change of plan on the cladding. I was going to use this feather edge, but I had some leftover pallet wood, and I thought, I think it will look better. So I've started. Pretty pleased with how it looks. It looks quite nice. Let me know what you think in the comments below. So I've used mainly the ring nails that I got out of the pallet, so I've recycled the nails. These kind of nails. A bit of overkill really. I've used 2 on each side, but that's because I want this shed to be secure. Don't want anybody to get in here. So the feather edge is a bit weak. This stuff's quite a bit thicker and stronger. So there's not going to be any windows in here either, and it's going to have a lock on it, so it's going to be like a little tool safe. So I'll do a bit more cladding, and I'll give you an update soon. So that's the back, and I've used pallet wood all the way to the top, filled it in areas. I'm just giving it a paint, same paint as I used on my workshop, Ron Seal 1 coat, cheap brush. Just giving it the first coat. I'll probably give it 2 or 3 coats, because that way next year or the year after it won't need to be painted. I can leave it for 2 or 3 years before it even needs painting. So there it is so far. Here's another quick update on the shed. So I have done the back wall and the side. I'll show you the back. The back is finished and painted, and then I've got this side left to do, and the other side is finished. You can see I use different thicknesses of boards here, that's why it's not flush, but it doesn't look too bad. I'm just working with what I can get my hands on, so that's all done. Inside I've added some shells, some old scrap wood that I had here, painted it with some black gloss paint. Just cut a little rebate in that one. So to do that I just measured the width and then measured the size of these pieces of wood here to cut the little rebate. There's actually 2 planks of wood there. This is old wood, so that it had some cracks in it. I've just filled the cracks in and painted over it. It's only to put stuff on, so as long as it's strong. This one is actually quite thick, then it'd be fine. The one on the top is a bit thinner, so I added a few little support, little braces there, and same procedure with that one. So that's how far I've got so far. I'm just going to finish off this side with some pallet wood that I've got, that wood there, and I'll be using the nails that I've just got out of the pallet. And I'm not sure about these skids yet, what I'll do with these, but I'll recycle them in some way. So all that wood I had, I've just cut it up, cut it to size on the chop saw, and I've run out just shy of the top. So now I'm just giving it a coat of, again, Bronze Seal 1 coat fence life, which is not 1 coat, it's about 4 coats, but there you go. So not far off finishing now. Next thing is just the roof and the front door. Another quick update on the shed. So I'll finish this piece, found another pallet, just need to paint that, and then I've used a skid from one of the pallets, and I've used a jigsaw. You can use a bandsaw and other various tools, but I haven't got one, so I've used a jigsaw and I've just cut it from end to end. You can see, to give it that angle. And the idea is that I'm going to have the roof sloping down to the side, so the idea is to have, I'll show you, the roof, it's all going to be attached, and then the roof is going to slope down like so. So I'll show you when that's on. So before I put the first piece on, this is where the door's going to be. I've just put like a brace across here, and then the slanted piece of wood, or the rafter, is going to go on top. And for extra strength, I've just like boxed, used 4 screws in each corner on each side to give it some rigidity, and then I'll glue and screw this slanted rafter to the top of this, and that just helps to keep everything square. So to keep it square, because I mean at the back you've got plenty of support because you've got all the cladding, but at the front, before you put the door on, it's empty, so these 2 walls can tend to fall one way or the other. So what you want to just do is simply measure the distance, go around the back of the shed, measure the distance from this corner to this corner, and then cut your brace to that measurement, and then add it. So mine was actually going out slightly, so this just pulled it all together flush, and then you screw it in, and that just locks it, keeps it square. And that is just a piece of pallet, not straight pallet wood. So now just got some wood glue, just going to go along the top, just where the rafter's going to be. There's plenty of glue. And then, so I'm going to use, here's my little cut rafter, and the cut side I'm going to keep upright, because then it leaves the flat, the definite flat side. Because I've cut this with a jigsaw, this side's probably not perfectly straight, but this one will be, the one that I didn't cut. So I'm just going to place that on, like so, with the glue there. I'll attach that in a moment, and you can see how it's going to be. So the roof is going to slope down, and it's going to, I'm using a corrugated roof, so it's going to actually sit in these, the corrugation is going to go over here. No, it doesn't matter about these wavy points, all that matters is the distance here and the distance at the bottom. So I'm just going to get that all glued and screwed up now. You can just see the light through there. I'm going to squeeze all that together. You can use a clamp and just drill it all through, and that will keep all that nice and rigid. That's the first bit done. It's all screwed all the way along, nice and secure, solid, glued and screwed. So we've got a nice brace here to square everything up, and then this is just resting along the top. It's all locking into each other, nice and solid. We're going to repeat the process now at the back. Okay, almost got the roof structure finished, so I'll just give you a look. It's all neatly boxed in. I've added a piece at the end to match the height of the highest point, and then it goes down to the lowest point here. And I'm just going to put a few little support beams across now. It's just getting dark, and I've finished the roof structure. So you can see I've added this main support. This is like a thick piece of pallet wood that I found. I've used 2 drywall screws to get into position, then 1 long zinc plated screw. It's about 3 inches or so, and that is, you can see, that is absolutely solid, and I've matched it with the angle of the roof, so it's going at an angle. And then we come down, there's another small support here, and then because as the roof runs off there'll be a gap here, I've just put a piece of beading to stop that gap, so it'll be nice and tight, and the roof will just sit along here. So it's a corrugated roof. I'm going to drill down into these main beams to support it, and then along the centre beam, and that should be it. No need for any guttering, as it's only a small roof. So I've changed my mind again about the roof. I was going to use corrugated bitumen sheeting, but I've got this piece of leftover thick perspex from a bus stop, and I thought that would just be a better idea, because then I'll have natural light in the shed, as you can see. So I've just put it on. I've cut it to size, just put it on as a test fit. When it's in, it'll be really rigid. It's thick, and like I say, I'll have a nice skylight roof. So to attach the perspex roof, I'm going to use these, I think they're called tech screws. They're like a self-tapping screw, and they've got a washer on the end which has got like a rubber gasket, and when you tighten it up, the bolt, it will push the rubber nice and tight against the surface, creating a watertight seal. So I've got a few of these left over from a project. I'm going to give these a go. So for the base of the shed, I've got these slate tiles, slate floor tiles that I found thrown out of a house. They're quite thick and heavy. 4 of them roughly matches the size of the base I'm using, and I've laid them on a mixture of dirt, sand and ash from the fire. So if you've had a big fire and you've got some leftover ash, that's always good for the soil structure. So in this case, it helps to seat these slabs to get them level to each other and nice and firm, because it kind of squashes down. See, I've just put some ash underneath. 4 big thick, you can see, nice thick tiles. It's not a foundation to support like a massive workshop, it's just a small shed. That's quite sturdy. That should just bed down, and I'll just slide the shed on top of that. So here is the shed so far. I've put it in position. There's no door on it yet. I'm just using like a temporary tarpaulin to cover the door. So as you look inside, look, there's the roof, letting all the light in. It's great. So I've got all my paints and things at the top, and then just a few tools here. Table saugers in the bottom. I've got ladders, gardening tools. There's the floor, pallet floor base. You can see the wrap as well, so you won't get any rotting or damp or rust on your tools. I'm also going to wrap the door that I'm going to add on as well. The roof was free. Old bus stop plastic window. Happy days. Okay, I'll show you the next bit when the doors. Okay, so a bit of an update on the door. So I'm building the door out of 3x2 CLS timber, but it doesn't need to be this chunky and heavy, just a tool shed, so I just want it to be light. So what I've done is, on the table saw, I've cut it down the middle, as you can see here. So I've just used one piece of CLS 3x2, I've cut it down the middle, so that's going to be my 2 uprights, and then I've got a piece of old pallet wood, and I've cut that down the centre, whatever that was. You can see, cut it down the centre, and that's going to be the 2 bottom pieces to make like a box shape. I'm going to use brackets to attach all that together. Then I'm going to put some sort of middle structure in to support it, like a zigzag frame, or I'm not sure yet. And then I'm going to clad it with pallet wood. So for that I've just used my tape measure just to find out where the centre is. Once you know the centre, say on this one I think it was something like 3.5 centimetres, and then I've just measured that up on my guide here, so gone along. So I've done it from the front first, so I've adjusted the front, so 3.5 centimetres from the blade, tightened it up, made a note of which mark it's on, and then I've adjusted it at the back for the same mark so it's straight, and I've just run that along, no problem at all. Just increased the height of the blade, this knob at the front, and that is it. So there's the 4 pieces of wood which are going to make up the basic frame of the door, and all the way around I've given myself a gap of about 1 centimetre, so in every direction the door is 1 centimetre smaller than the frame, so there's 1 centimetre gap around it, just so it can open and close, and then if it does swell up a bit over winter it won't get seized shut. So I'm going to go ahead and attach these 4 pieces all together, and then I'm going to put a middle brace in, and then the last part will be cladding the door. So that's all the brackets in. This is the middle piece, so it's been screwed in from outside, and then it's got an angle bracket at the top and the bottom. I'm just making this up as I go along. Same on that side. 2 at the bottom and there's 2 at the top. So it feels quite rigid, feels quite good. I think I'll just clad it over now. That should be good enough. But I might add a few braces, I'm not sure yet. So I've wrapped it with the leftover wrap from the workshop build. I've just stapled it on, as you can see, and now I'm just cutting whips of pallet wood to match the width of the door, and I'm going to nail on those pieces with these annular nails. So I have finished all the wood on the door. I've gone all the way down. You can see here I've got some like filler in there, just to fill the slight gaps and the old holes where the old nails were. So you don't have to do that. I just think it will look a bit better when it's finished. So I've gone 2 nails either side on each slat, measured it to size all the way down, and that's what we got now. So I'm going to continue to fill all the lines all the way down and the holes, and then I'm going to paint it, and I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to put some braces on it as well. Right, so this is the inside of the door. I'm going to put a diagonal along there and then one along that part, so 2 diagonals. I'm just going to use this 8-foot 2.4 metre piece of CLS timber, cut it down, and then I'm going to make the draw out the lines where the angles need to be so it fits snugly into these gaps. Right, I've cut down a piece of 2x4. I'm just going to lay it across the diagonal part, just making sure that it's nice and central on both sides. Okay, I'm just going to get my pencil. Make sure you've got a nice sharp pencil for this, and then I'm going to same on the other side. Right, just take that to the with that, I'll screw through the back here into the pieces of wood that make up the front, and that will pull it all tight. So there it is, the first brace is in. I've just banged a load of screws in, just drywall screws. They go in the wood easy, they don't split it, so you don't have to pilot it, because this is just CLS softwood, so you can just ram straight in. And I've kind of staggered the screws just to give it a bit more rigidity. So that is solid now, and you can feel straight away that the door is much more rigid, because without that you're going to get the whole door across is going to just twist and bend. That brace is now securing all this, as well as the frame. You know, it's butted against the frame, and then we're going to repeat the process along this diagonal. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the structure. I've got the second brace in, so we've got like a Z-shaped frame. So the front, the top half and the bottom half, they shouldn't twist and bend, and that is all screwed into place. All the wood is there, so the next part will just be to fill any gaps in and paint the door, put a handle on it, and that should be it. I've given it a quick sanding down just to take all the rough bits off, the splintery bits, and I've just finished filling all the little gaps. As you can see, the sealant's there. Now I'm going to give it a coat of paint, probably going to have to give it a couple of coats, and that is going to be grey to match the shed. Same paint as the shed, Untitled charcoal grey. Make sure you get it in all the cracks. That's the first coat done. I'll put one more coat on when that's dry. Then I'll put a handle on and some hinges, and it should be pretty much done. Okay, so this is the shed finished. I've got the door on, so I just added on the two hinges that I bought from hardware store, and then I added a lock, just a little padlock to keep the door shut, and a door handle, and that's how it looks now. So to fit the door, I just put it on. I had some small tiles, and I just put a row of tiles along the bottom to give it an equal, an even gap, so that it doesn't rub. There's a bit of a gap at the top for ventilation. You can just see that. Some of the paint's still drying. It's not finished. It's not finished drying yet. But there it is. So we've got a solid wood shed. It's cost me about £35, and that was just really for the framework. It probably wasn't even that much. And I bought the hinges. Everything else has been recycled. The roof, as I say, is an old Perspex piece of bus stop window plastic, and that will last a lot longer than felt. And the rest of it is just pallet wood. So let me just show you inside. So I've just put a little bit of I just had some aluminium sheeting, and I've just put an edge along all the way down, and that is just to stop any sort of moisture coming in and expanding the door here. You don't have to do that, but I just had the material lying around. So I'll just show you how the door shuts. Nice and quiet. It doesn't slam because it creates like an air lock. You can feel it kind of resisting, and then it just goes, so watch, nice and soft. So if you push it, there you go. Okay. Here's the frame. So yeah, the door is wrapped, as I say, and so is the inside part, and so is the floor as well. So there should be no condensation and damp. So the two main things that encourage mould to grow, which is darkness and damp, I should have eliminated. So we've got light coming in, so it won't be dark in here during the day, and it won't be damp either because it's completely breathable and lined. So that should eliminate that. So I've just got enough space for paint, tools and bits. I've got more room to put things in there. I've got my table saw down there. I've added a few hooks and things here and there. I think the roof was a good idea because you can just see it, it's just like everything is just nicely lit up. As I say, this will last longer than felt, well, indefinitely. I can't really see how that would degrade. It's probably already 5 or 10 years old. There's nothing wrong with it. that's that. The door went on quite easy. I thought it would be a bit tricky, but it was fine. That is pretty much it. So I hope that helped you if you're thinking of building your own shed. If you were to buy something like this, it's not a very big shed, but if you spend like £100, £150, you're not going to get that level of quality and solidness. You know, that is solid. That is probably going to last a couple of decades. A shed you're buying in like a place like, well, I won't say any company names, but just a budget shed of this size with a felt roof. You know, the felt roof's probably not going to last any more than 5 years, and it will start rotting at the bottom. So remember, I mean, a lot of this wood was free. The base was free. All the cladding was free. The roof was free as well. So if you can get yourself some reclaimed wood, I mean, even the nails are reused out of the pallets. It's well worth it, because this shed is going to last a long time, and it's got a nice solid feel to it. You know, you open it up, nice heavy door. It's not going to blow around in the wind. I've just angled it so that if you let it go, it will naturally close. There you go. So even if it does blow open at any point, you know, it will find its way back. That is great. Cheap lock, probably cost £1. Hinges about £1.50 each. Handles about £1, I don't know. I've been using it for all sorts of different projects. It's been on and off a few things, but it looks good on here. The paint was about £4, £5, something like that. The shelves was just old wood. I just repurposed. So this shed is about, the height is about, it's about 6'5", 6'6" high, maybe a bit higher, 6'7". So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope that's helped you if you're thinking about making your own. Please like and subscribe.